Zooba here, ladies and gentlemen, with the compliments of and the help of Zardoz Speaks. I will now be reading the liner notes for The Pawnbroker, the Rod Steiger film with music by Quincy Jones. Leah Golfer made the request. I did not have the liner notes, but my friend Zardoz Speaks from the FSM board has kindly shared me a link to that, plus many others, which I appreciate so much. Thank you, Zardoz. And I'm glad you spoke up and let me know about that. It's much appreciated. And now, the Rod Steiger film, The Pawnbroker, original motion picture soundtrack LP, music by Quincy Jones. The liner notes are by Quincy Jones himself. I will not attempt to do a Quincy Jones impersonation. I have much respect for him, and I would not do him justice. So here's Zooba doing the liner notes. This is the first American motion picture for which I've written the music. My first picture assignment was the Swedish film Boy in the Tree in 1961. I remember being called up to see The Pawnbroker. They always ask you to look at a picture and decide whether you like it before offering you the job of doing the music for it. Of course, I had already had tremendous respect for Sidney Lumet, remembering The Fugitive Kind, Long Day's Journey into Night, View from the Bridge, and 12 Angry Men. So I approached it optimistically, knowing that I'd be lucky for my first American film to be associated with a director like Lumet and a star like Rod Steiger. But when I saw the film, if I may express myself in the vernacular, I flipped. I had goose pimples. Lumet pulls no punches at all. He's so realistic that there are times when you almost think you're watching a newsreel with all the drama and tension added. Initially, I was so impressed that I felt the picture didn't need any music, but soon I was able to figure out exactly what needed to be done to give it whatever special dimensions the music could add. I wrote about 50 minutes of music altogether, most of which you'll hear on these sides. Some of the material was adapted or extended for the album. About 15 minutes of the music could be classified as jazz. The rest is straight dramatic composition, but of course some of it overlaps. The fact that I was able to incorporate jazz and that jazz musicians were involved in the recording of all segments of the score can be credited to a trend started by one man, Hank Mancini. It was his initiative on television and in movies that single-handedly freed the orchestras from the trap of having to imitate the European style of music approach. He was the first composer in this field to make full use of really American elements of saxophones and vibes and a steady swinging beat. And because of his success, the producers are no longer afraid to hire music writers who have a jazz identification or background. The Pawnbroker is not the kind of picture from which you'd expect a song to emerge, but I developed one from the main theme. Then Jack Lawrence added some lyrics and did a wonderful job of relating the title to the picture and avoiding turning it into a mushy love song. Main title. Oh, let's go back. Love song. The singer is Mark Allen, a very promising young newcomer. You'll be hearing more of him on Mercury Records. Main title is one of the themes connected with Steiger throughout the film. Harlem Drive is a jazz thing with a little 7-note bass figure used as a theme. The Naked Truth comes from a scene where a slow, funky blues seemed appropriate. Otez Night Off is about the Puerto Rican youngster played by Jamie Sanchez, who works with Steiger. For this, we had some of the musicians help create the street corner atmosphere by chattering away in Spanish, out of which emerged the various Latin percussion effects and the soprano sax, Tony Ortega playing the melody. The instrumental music version of the theme from The Pawnbroker is like a little tone poem built on the main theme played by a large orchestra. How come you people How Come You People includes a part of an actual speech by Steiger. He plays a former Polish professor who lost his whole family in the Nazi concentration camps. Steiger explains what he has suffered and how a man can grow bitter and callous. He now owns a Harlem pawn shop and ends up being as cruel to others as the Nazis were to him. Rack 'em Up is a pool room scene with a combination of jazz and Latin elements. It goes along with somewhat sinister conversation and captures some of the color of the Harlem street. The death scene represents the Puerto Rican youngster who dies in the shop attempting to protect Steiger from hoodlums. It's a powerful and painful scene represented by minor second intervals and 12-tone effects. All the agony that Steiger feels, the accumulation of 25 years of memories, is felt through the sound of the soprano sax and trumpet. The end title marks the point at which Steiger once again has found his own human feelings and knows he can feel and get hurt and love again. He goes back into the pawn shop. He goes back into the pawn shop, and we have a little jazz motif in where the pizzicato strings, and there's a flashback to the Nazi days. The music builds up, and in a violent moment of catharsis, he rams his hand through a metal paper spike on the desk in the pawn shop. Rather than a big melodramatic ending, we have the strings moaning wildly over the jazz sounds, almost two opposing forces, as Steiger realizes that the conflict in him has been resolved, and he now faces another day and another life. This picture needs no endorsement from me. My enthusiasm for Steiger and Sidney Lumet and for the whole project can be easily understood if you've seen the film or even read the rave reviews. But I'd like to add a word of thanks to two good friends, both wonderful musicians, Dick Hazard and Billy Byers. In the production of this recording of music from the picture, their assistance in conducting, orchestrating, editing, and general cooperation contributed invaluably toward whatever success the album may achieve. If my music for the Pawnbroker has played a part in any honors accorded to this wonderful motion picture, I shall be a very happy man. I am grateful to producer Eli Landau and the others associated with and who made my contribution possible. Quincy Jones.